What's up guys, Pollo here with a quick and straight to the point guide for Lohen, because you asked for it, even though I feel like I'm recycling content at this point. I stream on Kick every Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday, and if this video is useful, please consider subscribing, it really helps the channel. Lohen is a headset cryo main DPS and a pole arm user. If you pulled Lohen, you're meant to play him on field. The talents you will level up are his elemental skill and elemental burst. Do not level his normal attack, instead focus on his elemental skill because that's where his cryo infused attacks come from, with their own separate scaling, plus the periodic follow-up hits you will see later on. Together those account for over 75% of his DPS, while the rest comes from his elemental burst. Here's a combo currently planned for Lohen. Use your supports first, then swap to him, cast his elemental skill, entering his special state. After that, perform 3 full normal attacks followed by elemental skill activation. Filling the gauge on the side is that allows you to use the elemental skill strike. Finally, finish with your elemental burst. Now, the elemental burst doesn't necessarily have to be used at the end. Casting the elemental burst extends the duration of his cryo attack state, so feel free to use it whenever you want. You might have noticed that you can trigger the elemental skill strike faster by using fewer normal attacks, and that's perfectly fine for shorter rotations. Just be careful. If you play too fast, you might create downtime where you'd rather still be dealing cryo damage. As for supports, we want at least one other headset character for the headset resonance. Ideally, we also want teammates that enable meld teams paired with support DPS like Durin or Mavuika, or freeze teams with Scofia and off-field hydro damage dealers. There are other options too, although they're significantly less efficient. You can run additional pyro characters to help Lohen triggers melts, mono cryo teams that focus on cryo damage, or even traditional superconduct setups. They work, but let's stick to his strongest strategies. You want Lohen teammates to deal damage off field because that fills up his large gauge while he's attacking on field. The more that gauge fills, the more damage his elemental skill activation and elemental burst damage will deal. And that's it. Now you know how to play Lohen. So how did you build him? Since he is a headset character, you will want to farm the Rising Winds artifact set. It found in Notcry, and honestly that domain is worth farming anyway, since many other characters can use the pieces you get there. For main stat, you go with attack Sands, cryo damage goblet and crit circlet, aiming for the classic 1 to crit ratio. If you're already close to 100% crit rate, then prioritize more crit damage instead. Same advice as always. For substats, focus on the usual crit, attack and energy recharge. How much energy recharge do you need? Well, it depends. If he's your only cryo character, which isn't ideal, then around 170 to 180% energy recharge should be enough. If you're running another cryo alongside him, then 140 to 150% is more than enough. Even less if your team has Favonius weapons. As for constellations, Constellation 1 increases the maximum capacity, recovery speed and effectiveness of his large gauge, resulting in a noticeable DPS increase. Meanwhile, Constellation 2 causes high scaling AoE cryo attacks to trigger periodically whenever you use his elemental skill or elemental burst during his infused cryo state. On top of that, it grants 200 elemental mastery to the entire team almost permanently. I mean, while in combat. Up to Constellation 2, his constellations are very strong. Beyond that, however, the DPS gain from each constellation drop off dramatically, which is pretty unusual for a limited character, so keep that in mind. If you're deciding between his signature 5-star weapon and Constellation 1, go for Constellation 1 and ideally Constellation 2 before considering the 5-star weapon. For most players, that's simply the best investment. Once you have Constellation 2, then you can think about the 5-star weapon if you still want to invest further. That said, remember something important that I mentioned in the previous video regarding Lowen's DPS. Don't get your hopes up too much. He's a solid character for 2025, but hopefully he receives some improvements later, because right now he doesn't really feel like a limited character. I will throw a couple of teams examples on screen, and that's pretty much everything you need to know about Lohen. Thank you for your time and for supporting the channel. We'll be back soon with more Sandrone information. See you in the next time.